Welcome. Welcome to Med livet I lukunum, an Icelandic podcast. This is a podcast about real life, whole health, and the journey of living fully. My name is Erla. I am a health coach, a teacher, and a mom. And in this space, we explore all the layers of health, physical, mental, emotional, and beyond. Through honest conversations, expert interviews, and personal stories, I hope to inspire you to take ownership of your health and your life, one step at a time. And I am so thankful for you new listeners that can listen to this one because it is in English. And I'm also really grateful for my big Icelandic audience. Thank you for staying with me for 2 years. And before we dive into the interview, I really want to thank my sponsors. And they are Spiran, Virka, and Geosilica. And I will thank them in English for all of you English-speaking people if you ever travel to Iceland, which I hope you will. The first one is Spiran. A huge thank you to Spiran, which is a beautiful and welcoming restaurant in Iceland that truly supports health from the inside out. Everything on the menu is made from scratch with carefully chosen high-quality ingredients. It's a place where you can enjoy food that's as nourishing as it is delicious. I am so grateful for their support and their commitment to real healthy food. So if you ever go to Iceland, or if you live there already, you really have to go to Spiran. And I will put a link in my show notes so you can find it. A heartfelt thank you to Virka, a life coach school with truly inspiring teachers and a powerful program. Going through their training taught me so much about myself and has helped me grow in every part of my life. As a mom, as a wife, as a person, and even as a podcaster. I'm deeply grateful for the tools and insights I gained there and how it has helped me help others. And finally, the episode is sponsored by Geosilica, Icelandic minerals straight from nature. Their products are pure, powerful, and designed to support your body from the inside out. Whether it's for stronger joints, healthier skin, or better recovery, Geosilica taps into the natural volcanic power of Iceland to help you feel at your best. And I will put a link to their website because if you want to shop in their e-store, I have a discount code for you. So let's dive into this exciting and heartfelt interview. Welcome to this special episode of my health podcast. Today I'm doing something new. My first ever interview in English. And my guest is Matt Moreman, the creator of the hugely popular YouTube channel Obsessed Garage, with I think over 600,000 followers. That's huge. He has built a loyal audience by sharing his deep passion for quality, detail, and all things garage related, but also a personal story. Matt was diagnosed with OCD, and what started as a personal struggle became the foundation of his business and purpose. So we will hopefully talk about his journey, how OCD shaped his life, and how he turned his obsession into a tool for success, balance, and even healing, maybe?
Dang, that's a very good description. I like that.
Oh, that's good. So welcome, and thank you for agreeing to meet me.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'm happy to hopefully make some new friends and your followers. And
Yeah.
my wife has been adamant about 20-year anniversaries coming up, and she wants to go to Iceland. So,
Yes.
and you're not making it easy on me getting out of that because I do not like to travel. I've got all the coolest stuff, and so I want to do it here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go anywhere.
Well,
but
you won't regret it coming there.
I know. I just, I have all the cool toys, and that obsession thing is real, and so I like to keep in routine. And it's hard for me when I get out of it, and so.
Yeah.
But I need to see the world. I went to Finland recently, so that was my first time I'd ever been overseas.
Okay.
I went to Canada twice. I've been to Jamaica twice. That's the extent of my travel.
So did you think Europe was a lot different?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's a little odd, when you go to a country where everybody speaks my language, so I can cheat. I wonder if it's a little different, in Spain or Germany, where maybe, or like the eastern area of Europe, maybe where they don't speak English as readily, because I could just skate by. I tell you what, though, the food, and you know this in America, the food, I was able to eat bread without the suffering, without all the nonsense that we put here in America.
We have a lot of sourdough bread, very clean.
Yeah, like because I don't eat bread, we can talk about my recent discovery of folic acid and how that affects me, and so I was able to kind of eat the food. I was eating once a day, and I could eat a ton of food and not have that wake up in the middle of the night sweating and just feel uncomfortable, even though I ate too much. Shouldn't have. It's the food is very different, and I'm hoping in America
so you felt
we can
it right
fix
away.
That. Oh, 100%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you could tell immediately. I think it's the dyes and the preservatives and the oils and the weird stuff that we use here to make it cheap and to make it profitable. It's really problematic here in the U.S., and I'm hoping we can solve that. So I noticed that was the biggest thing I noticed, and the best part. But it also made you see the infrastructure of America and how different it is from, and how spoiled we tend to be.
Yeah.
But it was also really weird to see all the glacial melt and just the rocks. Do you have that in Iceland, or just rocks everywhere? Giant boulders just kind of left all over the place in Finland. That was pretty interesting. I'm looking at farmland, and there's giant boulders everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we have a similar. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably don't even recognize it. I was thinking, then I started thinking, if you were going to develop a property there, it probably costs a lot just to get the darn boulders out of the way.
That's true. So, for those of you who do not know you or your YouTube channel, who is Matt?
Well, there is Matt before YouTube, and there's Matt after YouTube.
Okay,
right?
Interesting.
So I feel like I was living a maybe not inauthentic, but I felt like there had to be an appropriate me. This is before YouTube and before me just sharing my life. So there was I used to say Merrill Lynch Matt, the stockbroker Matt, and then there was real Matt. And so there was faking it till you make it, as they say here. There was a conditioned, like you have to be a certain way, act a certain way. In fact, at one point I'd hired a person to help me dress so that I could dress around town.
To impress.
Yeah. I mean, but it just didn't feel right, and what I had done up until I was diagnosed with OCD and had a bit of a break, I think I was pretty arrogant and not humble, and it got to the point where at the end of that first part of my life, I kind of closed out the world. I was just good at most things, and I had a great job, and so I started to become somewhat wealthy for my age, and I was always the young guy doing stuff with the old guys, the young protege type, and so I think I got really arrogant, and I started to close people out, and I think a lot of that was because I just felt like they were not as good, and so then no one was good enough. In fact, it got to the point where I had several assistants. I wouldn't let them open an account for me because I'd feel like they couldn't do it right. Okay. And so I'd kind of taken the weight of the world on, but I was fit and healthy, and I felt great until I didn't. Yeah. And I never really considered other people until 2014, when I had not a psychotic break, but like a mental break. And
How old were you then?
I was 34, and so back up a little bit. In sixth grade, my grandmother was in the hospital and had knee replacement, and we went to visit, and they had like the little puke tray, and she was about to vomit, and I just started getting all like feel uncomfortable, and I started running. And as I'm running, the lights went out. And so I ran smack into a wall, into a corner of a wall, and broke my glasses in half. And I woke up on a stretcher, and that moment changed my life forever. And then throughout the rest of my life, there was always this joke of Matt, squeamish, they would call it, or afraid of the doctor. And it was always isolated. So it's called vasovagal syncope, where your body goes to protect its vital organs, and so you lose consciousness. And when you get parallel to the ground, you eventually wake back up. But it's traumatic. It's like feels like you died. And so then I would develop this angst around going to the doctor, and doctor, dentist, anything like that. And so I started to develop a phobia around that. But it was always isolated to that. As long as I didn't go visit someone in the hospital or something, I'd always be fine. And it was always this big joke that Matt, the big strong guy, would pass out like a little, like a baby. And in 2014, Michelle had Kate. I don't say we because she had Kate and it wasn't we.
Yeah.
And so I passed out in the delivery room, and then I had all this weight, all this arrogance, all this weight of the world, closed everybody out. I was in my garage by myself.
After that?
Leading up to that, I felt like I was alone. I was by myself, and then I had all this weight of the world. I was a senior vice president, and I was the manager of the Merrill Lynch office, doing all this old men stuff, and so I passed out a week after. We were getting photos, the baby photos done. At the time it was really cool to the mom and the baby, and you do the baby in the little basket and all that junk. And so I took my son, who was 4 at the time, and we went to the store while they were doing the mom and baby photos, and then we would come back and do the whole family stuff. And so we went to the store, to Toys R Us, and we're standing there, and Ryan's looking at all the Ninja Turtle stuff. And I was just scrolling Facebook, just killing time, and I saw something medical, a buddy of mine, and the Black Death came over me in the store. Oh. And so I didn't pass out, but I was close. And something happened at that moment, and I think it was all this weight of all the stuff, all the bull crap, all the obsession, all the better than, and then anxiety attached itself for the first time. I never had any panic, never had any anxiety. It would just happen to me like that. Some people it happens like a spider would scare them and they'd pass out. Yeah. Mine was I'm fine, and then it would just hit me out of the blue. And so now anxiety attached itself to that phobia, and it's something clicked in my brain where it said, this could happen anywhere, anytime, any day, at any moment. And so I couldn't function. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I was essentially in an endless panic attack for a couple of months straight.
Wow.
And so this was in August of 2014, and so for August, September, couldn't eat, couldn't drive, couldn't sleep, couldn't function. But I got super fit because all I could do was go to the gym. Even at the gym, I was still in panic. And so I could go to CrossFit. I would run to CrossFit. It was 2 miles away. I would run there and work out, run back. I'd go there twice a day because it's the only thing I could do. Couldn't really go to the office. But even then, I was in just an endless panic loop. And so we needed to get me some help. And so for the first time in my life, I was open to suggestion. I didn't know it all. Right? I didn't know everything. And so I had to meet, and we had to find a psychologist and a psychiatrist. First, I went to a general practitioner to just try to, what's wrong with me? And even there, I'm just freaking out, just rubbing my legs and kind of tapping, just panicking.
Yeah.
They're not even going to do anything, just talking to me. And so we went to our friend who was a general practitioner, and he put me on Prozac, which was one of the worst things that could ever happen to anybody. So they put me on the SSRI, put me on Prozac, and so then I went, and you can't just get the best psychiatrist because they're booked for years out. And so I couldn't get any help, and so I had to go to the only one I could find that had an opening. And he left me on the Prozac. He said, well, I wouldn't have put you on this, but we'll leave you on this. And then he's referred me to a psychologist, because the psychiatrists don't do the talk therapy. And so I went to the psychiatrist, and he wasn't a doctor, so but I normally would have dismissed somebody like that. So he was whatever, had a master's in whatever mental therapy or something. He's the only person we could get. His name was Nils, and I go in his office, and like his table was made out of like hockey sticks, like he homemade it. His papers are everywhere, and his diploma's like crooked on the wall. He's like just unkempt and disheveled looking, like somebody I would have totally dismissed as a loser. You know, the arrogant me prior to breaking, I would have thought this person is a joke. But I was so open to suggestion. If he told me to rub some tea tree oil on my earlobes, I would have done it.
Because you wanted to feel better.
I just wanted to figure out what was wrong with me, and I couldn't reason out of it. Like, why can't I reason out of this? I have a degree in mathematics and engineering, and I feel like I'm pretty smart, and I just can't reason out of it. And so but I'm sitting there in a therapy session, like freaking out, panicking. Like, he can't do anything. He's just sitting in a chair, and I'm sitting on a couch. And like, my wife had to go in with me the first time, and I'm just panicking. And through many therapy sessions, we kind of came to the conclusion I needed to let some people in. And I knew at that moment I wasn't all that. I wasn't superior. I was actually inferior. I was good at certain things, really good at certain things, and that's where the obsessive compulsive thing comes in, is really organized, really structured, really good at certain things, not disciplined, but just innate abilities, but also innately deeply flawed. And it's like yin and yang. It's like opposite ends of the spectrum. And so through many, many months of therapy, and then them numbing the heck out of me with this Prozac nonsense, I gained like 50 or 60 pounds. Wow. So it changed me physiologically forever. And I battle it, because now I'm 45 years old, and so that it was that formidable time, and say mid to late 30s, where now I'm on this thing that makes you just want to sleep and eat. And I have an addictive personality anyway, and so I would just binge, and so it changed my athletic ability, and changed my whole makeup. But it took about 2 years. I kind of got back to normal where I could drive, but I was avoiding the phobia. I stopped going to the doctor, stopped going to the dentist, stopped doing any kind of general maintenance, and I'm on Prozac. I'm trying to get off of it as quickly as possible. I got off of it in a couple of years, and then it was this, just to add context, my weight would be somewhere between 200 and 220, depending on how much muscle I was carrying. Now it was between 230 and 250, depending on how much fat I was carrying. So it changed my whole makeup. And so if I would get really disciplined and do some crazy fad, we can talk about the fads, but I would get down to like 230, but I could never break through it. And then I would balloon back up in this ebb and flow. And so the health aspect of the mental health aspect, I was swallowing it. And then in 2000, in 2000 and I guess it was 2019 is when I lost my front tooth, and I had my whole second episode of meltdown.
Because you had to go to the dentist.
Well, what we had done is I told Michelle to just sneak attack me, and my worst fear happened, where I hadn't gone to the dentist, and miraculously I didn't have any cavities because I do a good job maintaining my teeth because I'm afraid of the dentist, and so I didn't go to the dentist, and so she snuck attacked me, went to the gym. And she said, all right, today we're going to the dentist. We drove straight there, and I started freaking out, because I was avoiding everything. I could drive, but I would be like white-knuckling it all the time and having panics while driving. I could do most things, but if I would do this podcast, if I had told you this story, I would have been in panic at any given moment. And so I was living, but not great. Yeah. And so then I go to the dentist, and the worst possible thing happened. My front tooth, this is a fake tooth, my front tooth was dead. And then Black Death, I pass out, and I have to get an implant, which is, by the way, no big deal. the pain doesn't bother me. It's the fear of the fear. And so I live this life of this obsession over the fear of this passing out. And so it dictates how I eat, how I sleep, how I work, how I function, where I go, what I do, if I'm driving, if I'm not. And so that's where the OCD sort of really comes in. At that point, I found a world-class psychiatrist, a world-class psychologist. And so the last 4 years, I've dedicated and focused, because I stopped going to NILS, I stopped going to therapy, I stopped taking the drugs. I don't want to be on the drugs. And that's when I started doing genetic testing. So I had some genetic testing done, found out, the MTHFR break, gene break, COMT, the COMT gene break. So that means I can only metabolize like 5 SSRIs. So I can't even metabolize Prozac.
Okay.
So it doesn't do me any good.
Just the side effects.
Yeah. All I get is all the negative and none of the positive. And so that eliminated like a whole chemistry session of trying to figure out what drugs work for you. And so I didn't have to go through all of the things. And we found that Luvox, fluvoxamine, and I still currently take like a baby dose. It'd be like if you took a baby aspirin and cut it in a quarter.
Okay.
That's what I take to help just kind of take the edge off of the angst. And that isn't going to solve it. The drug doesn't solve it. And so every week for the last 5 years, I meet with my world-class psychologist, doctorate psychologist. She's retired, but still takes care of me. I think because I'm such a fun case, at least that's the way I think of it. And so I've worked on figuring out, who I am, what I'm about. And so there's been all these positive byproducts of figuring out why.
The root.
Yeah. And I still don't have it completely. But I think it's not one thing. It's not a drug. It's not just diet. It's not just exercise. It's not just stress, financial stress. It's all of it.
Yeah.
And I was always looking for, again, the fad where I could just find that one thing and do that one thing and it would fix it.
The magic thing.
The magic pill, right? But the magic pill for me was always hard. It wasn't easy.
Okay.
And so I'm always doing, but it wasn't, it's 27 hard things, not one. And so I would get all in on this one thing, this one diet, this is going to solve it. Or this one pill, this will get it. Or this one EMDR, or I've done breathing treatments where you learn how to breathe in and out at certain timing. I've done tap therapy. I've done I haven't done hypnosis because that scares me, but I'm afraid of doing any kind of psychedelic because I'm afraid that I'll lose the superhuman part, right? What happens if I go take DMT and then I lose it all? I lose me, or I have a schizophrenic break or something, and that's just not my nature anyway. I've never had a sip of alcohol. I've never, because I know that I couldn't handle it. And so I've always had this healthy fear of that sort of stuff. And so I've learned through the last several years in life and business, and I'll tie the business in for you in a minute, but I've learned that there's 100 factors that go into, and I'm never going to solve it.
But all these fads, did you learn something from them? Did you take something out of it?
Always. Fad is probably disingenuous. It's probably not the right word, but it's, let's call it trial and error.
Yeah.
And a willingness to go all in on things is the real positive byproduct of obsessiveness.
Yeah.
Is a willingness to go and be disciplined but the struggle and the learning lesson is I have perfectionist tendencies, and so everything I do is a failure, and so I can never get to success, and so that means that I never when I'm doing a fad or I'm doing something trial and error, I never get it a full shake because it's not perfect.
Okay.
If I'm doing a diet and I have one potato chip, it's ruined. Just eat the whole bag. And so I have a really hard time with that kind of obsessiveness. which is the same thing that's helped me build an amazing business.
Yeah.
That same obsessiveness. And so you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I want to be able to drive. Because currently I can't drive.
Okay. And you have amazing cars.
I have 9 cars and I can drive, like I physically can drive, but like if I go outside of a certain bubble, like certain stop signs are different than others, and so there's a lot of absurdity. But what I'm attempting to do is not white knuckle it, but to find the root cause. And so I think I'm getting closer every day, and I work at it, and I feel like there's a little bit of divine intervention in this, and that had I been able to go anywhere and do anything, I'd probably go back to arrogance and isolationism and nobody's good enough, and I wouldn't invite the world in, which is what I've done, and it's changed my life and for the better. In fact, I'm not in wealth management anymore, so I don't work for Merrill Lynch. I now own a business where I spend all day in passion. Yeah. It doesn't require any discipline when you're chasing passion, because I'm not very good at discipline. I can fake it, but I think there's certain things that are innate, and so I found that innate passion where I don't have to try; it just happens. I don't have to try to work 16 hours, because when you try, you generally fail. Like when they say, if you invite me to dinner, and I say I'll try and make it, that means I'm not coming. Right? I'm not going to come. So that's been the positive byproduct has been I got to figure out who I am, figure out what I'm about, and if I can't drive around, it means that I've got to be present. Yeah.
So you said OCD has kind of also been your superpower. Is that in the sense of making Obsessed Garage, or in life in general? Or?
So after Nils told me I should make some friends, I did what every good engineer did, and I built a spreadsheet of what's the most efficient way to meet the most amount of people possible in the shortest amount of time. And so what I started doing was I started journaling the ownership experience of my cars, and I had 2 really cool cars at the time, and I started journaling on the car forums. Forums have kind of died, but there were forums for everything. Forums for health, forums for cars, forums for trading baseball cards. There are forums for everything, and now Facebook groups have kind of ruined that. But on the forum, I had gotten a new GT3. So it was a blue GT3. It was the new version. It had just come out, and I got one of the first ones, and it was blue. So it was, everywhere else gets white and silver, and so I started taking, Michelle was a photographer on the side, and so she did wedding photography, so we had great camera equipment, and so I started taking great photos, and I created a journal that helped, it was an outlet. So I was able to type up, if I washed the car, I would take a bunch of photos, and I would write up descriptions, these are the products I'm using, this is why, and it started to get really popular on the forum, and I did one for my GT3 and my BMW M3. And they were both new cars that just launched, and so now on those 2 forums, I kind of start to get a lot of feedback from people, which I'd never gotten before. Because in wealth management, you're supposed to be successful, but not the perception of being too successful, because then it'd be like you're stealing people's money. And so they teach you to kind of do Merrill Lynch map and then do map, but keep that to yourself. And so combine that with my arrogance, and you end up with isolationism, right? I'm all on my own by myself. But the obsession that I have meant that I'm like one of the foremost experts on how to wash a car. And I had no idea. I just assumed that everybody knew this, and the people who didn't were stupid and losers, right? That's what I assumed. Well, now I realize they're not stupid and losers. They aren't cursed like I am. And so I've started to figure out, well, this journal is a real contribution. It's a contribution, taking OCD and this negative and trying to make it a positive, and make it a contribution to me and the world. And so somebody had made a comment, because I was doing these amazing photos, and so one thread I would write up would be, and because I'm super efficient and a crazy person, I would write like a darn near novel on each post, right? With great photos and 10,000 words, and but I could do that fast and efficiently. But it was taking a lot of time, but it was helping to get me out of my own head. And so somebody in the comments said, it'd be better if you made a video. was like, the camera that we were using was a Canon 5D Mark II. And so digital SLR cameras weren't really popular for video, but it could do video. It did really amazing video. But it didn't have autofocus, and it didn't have a great microphone, and we didn't have these Rode microphones and stuff like that at the time. This is in September 2014. So I'm in the middle of chaos, in the middle of endless panic attack. But somehow, because of the obsession, I'm still getting a lot of stuff done, right? And so I set up the camera and started talking to it. And what I didn't realize is I could sit there and talk to a camera for an hour straight about the virtues of carnauba wax and and a pressure washer for hours on end. And I was using a lot of obscure products that people didn't know about because I had a really good job and I had lots of money. I could buy and try lots of stuff. So all this years of obsession, and because I was obsessed with this car, I was obsessed with trying to make it sound the best exhaust, and I just couldn't accept that what exists was good enough. And so throughout me sharing on camera my washing process, and then I tried 15 different exhausts on the car, and then companies start calling me, and the rest is history. Yeah. And so I started to get some traction, and I've quickly had like 2,000 and then maybe 5,000 subscribers, something like that.
And did you name it Obsessed Garage?
No, it was just Matt Moreman channel. It wasn't monetized. You had to get, at that time, you had to get special permission from YouTube. You had to submit an application to make videos longer than 15 minutes. Okay. Because of the bandwidth issue. And so I didn't edit. I just set the camera up, and it was just, even if I went to the bathroom, it's like I come back 5 minutes later, and Old like school, the camera's just rolling. Yeah. There was I didn't have a lav mic on me, so the mic was on the camera, so it was half the time you couldn't hear me because I'd have the camera like all the way on the other side of the driveway, so I could get it all. And then sometimes it'd be out of focus, but you couldn't because the screen is like this big. But I didn't care. I wasn't doing it to get subscribers. I had a good job. I was doing it as a form of therapy. So there was no there was no like agenda. There was no business plan. There was no model. I just needed to talk to somebody, and it felt like you were sitting on a stool in my garage, and I'm talking to you. Yeah. But I didn't get any feedback, which I didn't want, and so no feedback. And then I really enjoyed the like all the work it required to put the video up. And so I enjoyed that efficiency of like, let me just do it. And it was very natural. I didn't have to force myself. I wanted to do it. And I found when I started actually like cutting out the bathroom break, I found that I found myself rather entertaining. Like I would be watching myself while I'm editing. I'm like, that's pretty good. And then what I couldn't do, I couldn't force myself to cut out the in-between. So what was very common is that people would be doing videos where they're just showing you how to do it. But I was getting the most feedback on my journals and on the videos by the comments about life and business and struggle and the authenticity. Rather than cutting that out, I left it in, and I called it the in-between. That same in-between is the same thing that hacked off 50% of the audience. Said, this is too long, you can't do this, what are you talking about? And so there's a lot of negativity comes with that, but I didn't give a crap because this wasn't my business. I wasn't going to do this. I'm just doing this as a form of therapy. So the comments didn't affect me unless they were wrong. Yeah. Then that would really get me riled up, And then I found myself enjoying the proving people wrong. And then the next video would be about that. But it always stayed in, I was just videoing whatever I was interested in because I didn't give a crap what you thought or what anybody else thought. And then I started to get some traction, and I eventually ended up with about 15,000 subscribers. And then I met my young friend Adam LZ, who had 600,000 subscribers at the time. Whoa. And we did a collaboration. He drove my cars and on his channel with him and his young wife, and they came and drove my cars, and we made a video. And then I gained I went from 15,000 in say a year and a half to like almost 100,000 like overnight. Whoa. And so during that time, during that ascent, from 0 to 15,000 took several years. I thought that what I had was a way for me to eventually not have to do the traditional marketing that I was doing in wealth management. I thought that because what I wanted to do was I wanted to manage people's money that I liked. or not that I liked my clients, but that I had a common interest. I felt like that could be more interesting. It also would open up the opportunity for me to, because I was pretty sophisticated. I'd done lots of work to be able to manage like really wealthy people's portfolios.
And did you like that job?
I liked it, but I didn't love it.
Okay.
And so, but I thought that Obsessed Garage, I eventually named it Obsessed Garage in mid-2015 because I needed to build a website. But I thought that this could be like a conduit for me to get customers in wealth management. Because I was doing wine tastings. So I'd hire a sommelier to tell us about the wine, and but I don't drink.
Yeah.
And I was doing golf seminars where we'd bring in like a chipping expert, and I'd have 15 potential clients. I don't play golf. So like I was faking, and I was doing it in a suit, and I don't wear suits. And so I'm like, there was Merrill Lynch Matt, and then there was Matt. And so I started to get this amazing feedback when I shared me.
Yeah.
And so Matt was like changing this small little pocket of the world. I'm like, holy crap. Like when you put yourself out there, and I'm humbled because I'm broken. So I'm doing it much more humble than I ever could have, because I would have turned everybody else off in the past. So I'm living this humbled life and sharing and getting such amazing feedback, some positive, but or some negative, but mostly positive. And so I thought, man, this is a way I'm going to build this amazing financial practice. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And so in early 2016, I decided I'm going to build a website out of anger that that on the Matt Moreman YouTube channel, everybody wanted links to all the products that I was using. Geez, they're building something downstairs. This is my guys building stuff for us.
Okay.
So we're rebuilding my garage. So I where was I? What was I saying?
Everybody wanted to get a list of the products.
Oh, yeah. So they wanted me to like put the list in the description of all the products, but that was too much work. I have a job still. And so I'm working 90 hours a week between the two jobs. And so I said, I'm going to build a website where I can just put all these obscure products on one page. And then I can put one link in the video. And so my buddy from church, he was a graphic designer. And so he said, well, we need a name. And so that's when I decided Obsessed, because obsessive compulsive disorder, Obsessed Garage, because I was in the garage messing with garage stuff. And then he made the Obsessed Garage logo like the first try. Like made this like perfect with the little hex and the underline, the Obsessed Garage, and picked the font, and everything was just perfect. Like one try right out of the box. I should probably get a legal document from him. Somebody's going to come sue me for that logo that he made. But he just set me up on the site, a WordPress site, and just let me go. And so I was spending 20, 30, 40 hours a week building this website. And Michelle, my wife, is like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? I'm like, no, I got to get this done so I can put one link in the videos. She's like, but what are the videos? But she let me do my thing. But I was working two jobs. And then I started traveling around the country, and I'm making videos of like different manufacturers. And but I never went down the sponsorship path. I never went down the path of doing commercials and live reads. It just didn't seem right to me. Not that it's wrong, but it just didn't feel right to me. And so I built that website, and then but it was just links to like where to get it. But all these products I was using were so hard to even put a link to. I don't even know. I couldn't explain to you how I find this stuff. It's just like there's like a resonance in the universe that I'm attracted to. And so I find all this weird crap that and most of it's for professionals, not for amateurs. But I want the best. I want the best for the job. Even if I have no business using it, I want it. Like these speakers that are sitting next to you, those are for recording studios.
Okay.
But they actually work really well for what I want to use them for. They actually work really well in the garage because of the recording studio. And so...
now we get free sound effects here from your garage.
It won't pick up on the mic, I don't think. Downstairs, they're redoing my cabinet. So,
yeah, nice.
Speaking of obsession, I have the garage complete. He was just in there the other day. Well, it's torn completely apart. Yeah. So all new cabinets, all new backsplash. It just didn't, speaking of resonance, it didn't feel right. So we're going to do it again.
Yeah.
But that's the absurdity of that has what's created the interest from the audience. And so I built the site, and then the links weren't linking. half the time I'd find like this garden hose that I loved, and then like the company would go out of business that you can get it from, and then I had to try to find the hose. And I found that the website created more emails and more questions. And so then that's when I had the epiphany, I should probably just get these, put it together in a package, and ship it out. And so then I started getting on the phone. This is late 2016, so I'm almost 3 years into making videos, or a little over 2 years into making videos, and so I found the fittings for the pressure washer. I found the company where I'd got them from, and I reached out to them, and they said, no, you can't sell our stuff because we don't do e-commerce. These are all professional companies.
Yeah.
And then I called the pressure washing companies. They said no, nah. And then I called the company that makes the gun, and they said maybe. And then I called another company that made a competitor to that company, and they said yes. So then I went back to the maybe and said, well, they said yes. I said, oh, if they said that yes, then fine, we'll let you do it too. And so I reserved 15 sets of fittings, 15 guns and wands, and the whole pressure washing package. And then 5 pressure washers. I said I'd like to reserve those, and I'd like to buy those wholesale. And then I added it all up, and it was $1,575 US. And I'm like, oh crap, no one's gonna buy this. This is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you can't clean your house with it. It's really only tuned. It only works for washing your car, but it's quiet and it turns off when you release the trigger. It's something I've been using in my videos for a long time. And so I made 13 videos for every part and piece of that pressure washer. From the most obscure little fitting, I made a 2-minute video for that, and then a 5-minute video, and a 10-minute. So I made videos of all those parts and pieces. I just met my young friend. I have now almost 100,000 followers, and I put 13 videos up all at once, and I lost 5,000 subscribers like instantly. They're like, what is going on here? Why? Because they all got the notification bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding, and 13 videos. I don't want to watch a video on a 1/4-inch quick disconnect. This is stupid. And so I was like, oh, I kind of messed that up. But I said, well, at least maybe I could sell it to my Porsche buddies on the forum if I get stuck. And then I had 200 emails in my inbox saying, when you launch this, I want it.
Oh, wow.
Because people didn't want to try to figure out how to do it. They had to go to 10 places, and they weren't sure what they were getting. They didn't know how to put it together. And so I opened up a pre-order and sold $50,000 worth of pressure washers like the next day.
Wow.
And then the next month it was 60,000, and then 80,000. I didn't have any of the stuff. I didn't have the pressure washers. They didn't have any in stock. The gun that I had didn't exist in the US. We had to bring it over from Switzerland. And so for even today, still, I have trouble getting this stuff in stock.
Okay.
And so for the first several years, the audience helped me fund it without doing any kind of Kickstarter or anything, because I was pre-selling stuff that I didn't have. And so the business was built then. And I still wasn't going to quit wealth management. I still thought this is okay. Now that's cool. Now I can pay my Porsche payment, and maybe I won't have a Porsche payment. Now I got an excuse to buy more cars and do more garage stuff. And then it turned into the finding flooring and lighting and cabinets and tools. And I wanted an end-to-end solution for the garage. But the point of the end-to-end solution was for me. And then by proxy, I could share it to you, and then you could do what you want with it. And I figured out there's a lot of value in that. But I still thought that it was Obsessed Garage, and then I wanted to create Obsessed Wealth Management. And there was going to be a bridge between the two, and that bridge would be it. And so I have a business coach, and he knew that there's no bridge. There's just one. They're just obsessed, just me, just Matt, right? And so I'm trying to figure out how to create this bridge. And so I left Merrill Lynch and I went to Raymond James, and they were going to let me call it Obsessed Wealth Management. And that was in early 2016. So prior to me building the store in 2017, I'd left Merrill Lynch, went to Raymond James. So I was building the store just so I could get more customers in wealth management. And by 2018, I was selling, $4 million worth of stuff.
Whoa.
And I did a vlog. So I'd never done a vlog before. So I did 2 weeks of a day in the life of the obsessed, is what I called it. So I did a 2-week vlog, and I carried my camera around everywhere I went. And I took my camera in my office, and that caused a whole big problem. I found myself in a boardroom with the SEC, and all the compliance officers. Your husband is in banking, right?
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about. All the regulatory people. So I'm in a room and I got ambushed, and my pictures on my videos are on the screen, paused, and they hand out binders to everybody. And it was a 2-day, like, what are you doing? They didn't understand it. And so in June of 2018, they walked me out the door like I was a criminal, and the best thing that could ever happen to me. Now, it didn't feel like it at the time, and I was in an OCD crisis, panic city, because I didn't know. I mean, I wasn't born an entrepreneur, and so by the end of that year, I had like 7 or 8 employees, and it was off to the races from there.
Okay, wow.
So that's how it happened. And so OCD, without the obsessive break, without the panic, without the problem, I would have never started the journal, which I would have never started the YouTube channel. I didn't start selling stuff out of a business idea. It was a reaction to what the marketplace was telling me, and it was all because I'd let people in. And I just started inviting people to do stuff, and it's completely changed my life. And now I have 36 employees, and we're doing $20 million worth of sales, and we're probably going to triple that in the next year, because now I'm hiring an executive leadership team, and I'm making a transition from a company to an organization. And the pursuit of that is so natural. It just makes sense to me. The people part doesn't make as much sense, but the product part makes a lot of sense.
Did it ever get overwhelming?
Every day, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's been the therapy, is the struggle, is trying to figure out how do I think, and you're a CrossFitter, so you know this, there's no such thing as balance.
We're always trying to find it.
To get balance would be to be unbalanced, and then you get options later in life, right? You be unbalanced when you're getting your education, study, focus, get your education. You're unbalanced when you're young in your career. You're unbalanced when you have young children, right? Because they become the focus. Now you have your career that's even probably more onerous, and you have your children, and so now you're completely unbalanced. But that, to me, is the fruit of life. And then figuring out how to accept that, I think, is balance. Yeah. It's not about actually being balanced, it's the acceptance of it. And so things like taking big risks, I'm a risk taker, but taking big risks adds stress, which adds worry, which adds obsession, which makes me not be able to drive. Right? Everything to me comes back down to driving. Right? If I can't drive, then there's something broken. If I'm not eating properly, that means I'm not chemically in balance, which means I can't drive. If I'm, spending too much money, then that means I haven't saved properly, and so then that causes stress, which means I can't drive. And so everything comes to that. And I'm 27 things in. I probably have another 75 to go to figure it out so that I can drive.
Okay.
And so
that's your goal now.
That's the story. Yeah, that's the goal.
So I ask everyone that comes to on my podcast, what is your definition of health?
I think to me, I want to be able to walk out the door and run a 5K and do it comfortably and do it relatively rapidly. To me, I want to be able to go and pick up a barbell with a reasonable amount of weight whenever I want. I want to be able to go hike up a mountain, and I want to be able to suffer. If I'm not able to get to like athletic suffering, then I feel like I'm not healthy. And I've been there a couple of times, which I would have scoffed at in my younger self. But I've gotten, in the Prozac days, a couple of times where, hiking up a mountain would have been, I wouldn't have been able to push. I would have had to just kind of exist. And so even today, I had a bad day in the workout, and because I'm deep into my carnivore seems to work well for me. The byproduct of carnivore is that you have no glycogen, and so I feel like I'm on death's doorstep certain times.
And in this heat, it must be even harder.
Yeah, and so I lose, but I'm giving up to gain a little, because again, balance, which is what I should do, like just eat a balanced, healthy, macro-based diet. I'm just not good at that. And so I tend to do extremes. And so healthy to me is when I'm doing the extreme, I get through the initial patch of the extreme. And so there's body weight involved in that. There's mental, thought process involved in that. And then when you get to the improvement, where you get, if you can get through that like first couple of months, the habit forming time, the 21 days or whatever they say, if I can get through that, and then I can get into the headspace of benefit. And I had this 2024, I discovered carnivore, cold plunging, and I went from say 250 pounds down to, I got to 211. 210.9 I saw after a 72-hour fast. So I was really 220, but I saw 210.9, and then I did this huge project that derailed me, and I didn't balloon back up to 250, but so I'm looking for that feeling. That's what healthy feels like to me, where I got in trouble. I got up at 4 a.m. and I was out doing Grace in my driveway, and Michelle and the kids come outside like, "What are you doing?" I just wanted to do it.
Yeah, Grace is a CrossFit workout for people who don't know.
So it's 30 clean and jerks per time at 135 from overhead, and I'm 6'2", so the bar's 8 feet in the air, and I'm dropping it, and my whole house is, you can, they're shaking the foundation of the house.
So why were you doing that?
I just was in, I knew that I had a busy day, and I didn't want to miss out on the workout because I was in that positive, the snowball effect of the positive feedback of my weight is falling, my fitness is increasing, I'm not having to be disciplined. I just wanted to do it. And so if I could stay in that, and I'm well on my way back into that, and I wish I could just get rid of the healthy to me would be not being in that yo-yo of the gain and loss, and just and especially at 45, if I can get into the maintenance rather than the having to kill myself, because the first couple of months is brutal, it's painful, and I would love to avoid that.
Yeah. So how long have you been a carnivore then?
So in August of, I don't know why I know dates, I just remember dates, but August seems to be it's like the anniversary of my pain and suffering. And so August of 2024, so from 2014 to 2024, yo-yo, fad, fast, the snake diet, which is just drinking salt water for weeks on end, paleo, you name it, just trying all different things. And like I said, I could get down to like low 230s and then balloon back up to 250, because I would go to perfectionism, starve myself, not get there, and then fall off. And so something in 2014, I discovered Gary Brecka, and he does spout some nonsense, but some things that made sense to me. And so I got a cold plunge, which seemed to work really well for me post-workout, not pre-workout.
Yeah, it's very popular in Iceland.
So post-workout works well for me, because if I do it pre, it makes me more anxious. So I get up in the morning and I'm freezing cold and I can't recover. And I know post-workout, there's some empirical studies that show, some data that shows that, it hurts your muscle growth. I don't care about muscle growth. I just want to feel mentally good.
Yeah, exactly.
And it also tends to help with inflammation. And so I discovered that, and then I decided to do an elimination diet, because I also discovered that I had this MTHFR break.
Which means?
So MTHFR is, it's a gene mutation that is hereditary, and that gene mutation means that you can't process certain things. Okay. One of them being folic acid.
Okay.
So we all need folate. Folate is naturally occurring, but folic acid is something in the U.S. that they spray on all grains, so all rice, all breads, and you'll see it. They call it enriched or enhanced, and so they call it enriched flour, which is nonsense. It's I don't know if this is correct, but in the 90s, there was a little bit of an outbreak of spina bifida in babies, and so folate is something that you should supplement with when you're pregnant.
Exactly.
Not folic acid, especially if you have an MTF, because folic acid is not naturally occurring, and if you don't have this gene break, you can process it and convert to folate. But I can't, and something like 25% of the population cannot process folic acid. So there's some data that suggests that it may lead to angst and lead to, mental disorder. And so I discovered that and eliminated anything with folic acid. I didn't know this, but when in 2019, 2020, when I met that psychiatrist and he did the initial gene testing, I didn't like analyze the results. He just said, here's what we can process, what we can't. So he put me on methylfolate. The other thing that I can't process is a normal multivitamin or vitamin B. And so I need a methylated multivitamin. And so Gary Brecka kind of turned me on to understanding what MTHFR is and what COMT is. My problem is I'm doing this blind. My ultimate fear would be to have blood drawn. And so what I'm working toward, I need to get a blood draw so I can really figure out am I deficient in vitamin D? Is it just an iron deficiency? Mm-hmm. But I'm so deathly afraid of that. It's an instant pass out.
So what will have to change for you to go to the doctor?
I think it's like getting ridiculously healthy. And I was almost there last year. So August of 2024 till early 2025. No, it was August 2023 till mid 2024. And then I'm about 2 months into the next round of getting, I think if I'm like ridiculously healthy, I tend to be less anxious. I'm also working on my business to make it less stressful, working on all aspects fitness as well. And so then I've been able to now go to the dentist regularly. I added the eye doctor in regularly. The next would be to go to a GP, general practitioner, which is my ultimate fear. They're going to find something and I'm going to pass out. And then would be to do a blood draw and then try to do that regularly. I did find this company. It's called Sipex or something like that, where they can actually do like a 95% accurate blood panel by just pricking your finger.
Okay.
But when I prick my finger, all the blood goes from my hand and I can't get it to come out. So then I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
And so that's my current goal, is to be able to drive and to be able to have blood drawn, and then hopefully then I can find maybe I'm just mineral deficient. Maybe that's a symptom or an extra thing that I might be B12 deficient, or I might be iron deficient, or I might be overly, overly methylated, taking too many vitamins. Yeah. And so my hope or my path is to figure myself out and then be able to drive in the mountains again. That's my goal.
So, because I'm not really, how do you say, now we'll find out my English is not so good. No, but OCD, is it something that you will live with your whole life? Or, yeah.
So I don't have ritualistic OCD, like I don't have to lock doors. And what I have is the constant spiraling worry and fear around whatever it is I'm afraid of. And so and just that hyper thought and hyperactivity. So when I can direct that towards something that I'm interested in, it's great. And so I don't have the traditional wash my hands 500 times or, stare at the clock and, make wishes and stuff like that. I don't have that. My mom has the same thing. My grandmother had the same thing. My sister has the same. It's all the women. So I apparently have a lot of estrogen in me. But I have that hereditary, just natural worry, which my problem or the struggle is the compulsion means that oftentimes you would think that the worry would motivate you to not do inconsistent things, and yet, this is the struggle with addiction in general, right? Is the inconsistency of the result you're clearly not committed to. And so I'm looking to be committed to the result. I know that when I eat properly, I eliminate things that I feel better.
Okay.
And yet, the addiction of some potato chips. And the one thing that's really worked, though, is I don't mess with anything with folic acid, and I won't mess with white bread. I won't mess with any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's fixed me eating, you know, like Little Debbie's, you know, like just terrible processed stuff. As I love anything processed and junk. The more processed, I don't want homemade. I don't want any fruit in my dessert. I want it to be just like refined sugar. You know, that's what I love. All the C's, cookie, cake, crackers, candy, chips, all that stuff is my curse. And so
Your kryptonite.
and I'm not sure yet if this is perfectionism or if it's the right thing to just eliminate it and just not have it be an option for me. I don't drink alcohol and I'm fine. I don't do a lot of things and I'm fine. Is it just a complete elimination? And can I do that? Can I execute on that? Or is it better for me to have it in moderation? I've proven that moderation is not a great thing for me. Yeah. You know what screwed me up is there was a well-renowned author and fitness guy in the late 1990s. His name was Bill Phillips, and he wrote this book called Eating for Life. And the concept was eat 6 meals a day, small meals. It was very fat-free, heavy, you know, back then, right? But it was eat a lot of fat-free cheese, but, you know, it was, it didn't restrict your calories. It would use, like, if you're doing a starch, size of your fist, if you're doing a protein, size of your palm,
exactly.
you know, that kind of thing. Just real simple. But it was eat 6 small meals a day. And so you would have breakfast, a snack, lunch, a snack, dinner, and then a snack, like a protein-heavy snack at night, like Jell-O and protein or something like that. And it worked extremely well for me in my late 20s. And the part I liked about it is on the 7th day. So you have 6 days of that. On the 7th day, it was have at it, full binge, eat 500 Oreos, whatever you want. And so it worked extremely well for me. And part of it was tricking your body so you didn't get into like you did get into this like, or your body would go into scarcity and survival and hold on to weight. Now I was in my 20s, and so all I had to do was just think properly, and I could lose weight. You know, you could probably relate. And so I've sort of loosely followed that diet. But then what would happen is it'd be day 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, you know, I'm gonna have my cheat day on day 5, and then you go to the grocery store and you buy everything in sight, and you only eat half of it. And then day 6, you're like, well, I don't want it to go to waste, and then you eat it. And then day 7, you're like, well, I already ruined this week, so let me just do one more cheat, and then I'll start on Monday. And put that and Prozac together. So I was able to battle that in my 20s and early 30s pre-Prozac. And then I stayed on that binge and purge path in my 30s, and then it created a monster. Plus, you know, my mom is a psychopath, and so my mom growing up, it was like, you know, you eat your Brussels sprouts and then you can have 3 cookies. But we didn't go in the fridge and get something to eat or drink. It was you eat at dinner, you eat at the table, you don't go and snack. She was like very specific about what we could have, when we could have it. And a lot of it was just money. You know, not have enough money, and so it was, we can't eat everything out of house and home. And so when I went to college, it was like a free for all. I could eat whatever I want, whenever I want. But I was super fit and athletic, and so I could just outwork it.
Yeah.
And then you know this, when you get older in life, you can't outwork it anymore. So that's been
There comes a time when it's all downhill again.
It doesn't have to be, I don't think, but you just have to be. You have to be more specific.
Well, the metabolism slows down and everything after like 30 or 35. So.
Well, I'm struggling right now. Is, you know, I'm 3 weeks into 229. I can't seem to break that 229 number, and I have to just keep fighting, because once it starts to melt, you know, then it'll start to, you know, I'm in ketosis, and so I'll start to, you know, drop pounds, and this happens now at, you know, in the 40s, and you have to fight through it. And so and you know, weight training is really important, and you know, and doing things that are hard, I think, are really important. Getting in the sauna and cold plunge to me is more about the mental fortitude than it is the actual physical benefits. And so I have a sauna downstairs, and I have a cold plunge, and so I'm doing that as regularly as possible. It's weird, now that I'm into ketosis, I do sauna at like 187 is the Scandinavian study, right? They say 187 degrees for 23 minutes or whatever was the study. So I try to do 20 minutes at 187, and I can't. It's brutal, even with the wool hat on, and I feel like I'm gonna die. Yeah.
Wow.
187 Fahrenheit. So what is that?
I'm not sure what that is in Celsius.
Yeah, give your viewers or your listeners a reference point.
So when I asked you what your definition of health, you first spoke of the physical part, and so that's really important. I hear. Is it because it has the effect on the mental health, or why does it matter so much?
86 Celsius.
86, okay, that's hot. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's easy for you guys. You were probably 220 Fahrenheit. It was 100 Celsius. That's what they were saying in Finland is 100.
Well, Finland uses a sauna a lot. Yeah, they're very. Yeah.
Almost every house has one. So, yeah, I think there is. I talk about balance. I don't like balance. Balance to me is a waste of time. It doesn't feel good. Unbalanced would mean that I'm levered too much. I have too much risk. And so then that affects me mentally, which affects me health-wise, physically. I'm trying to learn how to avoid that and not take on too many things, too many projects, too many people. Excess is something that helps or hurts my health.
Yeah.
But it's all connected.
It is.
And this is what I'm finally figuring out. There's no secret pill. There's no special plan. The more disciplined you have to be, the more likely you are to fail. So finding things that are natural, like a natural sport, what you like doing. I like going to CrossFit. I wouldn't like running a marathon, and so I'm not going to do it. And I've tried to force myself to be disciplined to go down that path just to check the box. And so as I get older, I'm learning to stay focused on and ask myself the question, do I really want to do that? Do I really want to go there? Do I really want to travel there? Do I really want to spend that money? Do I really want to eat that? Do I really want, and what result am I looking to achieve? And instead of just being young and reactionary, I'm tending to be more deliberate and more thoughtful. And so that's how I think I get to health. And that's how good. I think I get to drive. To me, health is I can drive my cars.
Okay.
I have 9 cars and I can't drive. It's the most ridiculous thing. My entire life in business is built around cars and I can't have it. It's pretty ironic if you ask me. It's not ideal.
Yeah, so if you look ahead, this is your dream goal. Do you know the steps to be able to reach the goal?
So step 1 is stay the course, get to, I think 200 pounds is a goal, right? So I get from 229 where I am today to 200 pounds. That's just a goal, like something to shoot for. The weight doesn't matter, but the goal would be to be at around 200 pounds. I'm 6'2". Whatever that is in meters,
Tall.
You can do
2 meters probably.
Yeah. Shy of 2 meters, like 1.8 meters. Something. And so if I get to that means that I'll be healthier, which means I'll be hopefully more chemically balanced, which means I'll have more fun with working out and doing things. And so that's the goal. So what I've been doing a lot recently is, because I have to be careful, I'll tend to overtrain and then crash and burn. And so what I've been doing a lot is, like at night, instead of sitting on the couch watching TV, I'll throw my ruck on and I'll watch something on my phone while I'm rucking, 2 or 3 miles. So I'll put 50 pounds on my back and just walk, which is lower impact, and you can do that forever, other than your traps getting sore from the weight. But just trying to burn some extra calories, and then so I get to a healthy weight, get to a healthy, physically healthy, chemically balanced, healthy in my business as well, with leverage and cash flow and all the business nonsense, and the right people, the right management, the right team, the right structures. to take that weight off of me. I'll never stop, but to reduce the amount of like gut guess and do more mathematically based. Like if we're going to take on this new product, we're going to calculate it. It'll be built into the forecast rather than my gut telling me, because then I never really believe my gut, even though my gut's always correct. Then I worry about it and have angst about it. And so if I can do less of that, and then I can go do the blood work, and then I can know that I'm truly healthy. And I'm hoping that combined with I'm going to order a Tesla today with full self-driving. So the full self-driving may help me if I'm driving down the road and I start to get panic, I can double tap and the car will take over.
Okay, that's nice.
I had a Tesla a couple of years ago, but FSD made me more anxious because it was terrible. It would like stop in the middle of the road and turn sudden left turns, and that made me more anxious.
Okay.
So like now, like I can't go to the gym unless somebody drives me there, and which sucks because I mean, I'm stuck, and so half the time I can't go when I want to go, and so then that messes up my goals. And so I really want to be able to solve that. And so I think that this pathway of healthy weight, healthy eating gets me there, a healthy business life, healthy business risk, not balance, but because I'm always going to be unbalanced.
Yeah.
That's where I'm happiest. And then I can do blood work, and then hopefully get my life back.
This reminds me of one thing I sometimes say. It's like health is kind of like a three-legged chair. So one leg is the physical health,
Yep.
one is the mental, and then there's the social health. So it's like if one leg is taken under the chair will fall.
The social health for me is the business. That's where all
perfect.
people.
That's what I was thinking about.
I mean, I've got
That's
a thing
great.
behind you that says, embrace your relationship to your business because it's a bridge to be in relationship with those those you serve and are served by. And so business is social, is relationship.
Exactly. So if you nurture that, you're good. So hopefully you will come to Iceland next summer and be able to drive the rental car.
I wouldn't push my luck on that.
No. But
I'm okay with if I'm traveling to be to pay for a car service. I'm okay with that. But what I would really like to be able to do is just go out on a Sunday evening and just grab one of my cars and go on a back road and go for a drive, and I can't have that. And it almost seems unfair, but it's on me to figure that out. And so I've made it my life's mission to solve it, not to just push it down deep enough to where I can white knuckle it, where I can hope my way through it, but to actually find the root cause of the problem. And in doing so, I've completely changed my life, completely changed thousands of people around me, their thought process of things and what could be. And I think that that's what I'm destined to do. So I think there's a little divine intervention here in that if I was immediately cured, that I wouldn't get out of life what I'm supposed to get out of it. And that helps me sleep at night a little bit, knowing that I need to be doing this. If I was able to just let it go and not have this curse, I probably wouldn't be where I'm destined to go.
yeah, it's amazing to see how far you've come in these 11 years.
It's been a while. Yeah, I could never have written this script. I didn't write a business plan. I didn't say this is what I'm going to do with my life. I was just doing me, and that's been the common theme here is to do me and to learn who me is.
Yeah.
And then by doing so, I may be able to solve some of the the physical, the mental, the health related issues, the issue of addictiveness and binging and doing things that aren't consistent with the outcome I'm committed to getting, or the outcome I want. I want to be committed to that outcome, and that's been the epiphany, and that's been the hope.
So maybe just as we're closing this conversation, is there some advice you would give your younger self that you know now, that you wish you had known?
The thing I struggle with most as a young man was that I knew I was very different, and you're not supposed to be different, and so then I started to judge and assess everybody around me, and so that judgment is really a defense mechanism. It's an insecurity, in that, man, I know that I'm odd, I know that I'm different, I know that I see things differently, and the only way I could cope with that was I felt it had to be superior. And so when one thing is superior, that means everything else is inferior. And so then that sort of stunted my ability to live up to my potential. And so had I known this earlier on, I would have figured out early on that I was actually an entrepreneur. I would have figured out earlier that I would have started a business much sooner. I would have been much happier and invited many more people into my life. I probably would have beaten this curse earlier on. And so if you're a young person and you're trying to figure out life, I think it's important to. I think you need to be careful, because you can go and therapy yourself to death, right? And so you need to be careful to not over medicate, over therapy. Everything isn't always a problem, but the sooner you can figure yourself out.
Exactly. Who am I, really?
Right.
Yeah.
And what stressors really affect me? What am I really good at doing? I may not be the best at any one thing. If you're a generalist, figure that out soon. If you're a specialist, figure that out soon. And then figure out how to chase it. And don't do things that you hate. Now, there's certain things, I want to eat, I want to eat candy and cake all day. But there's certain things that are just common sense, right? But in general, don't do things that you don't like. And then you won't have to close everybody out and be, have this insecure reaction. So if you can figure yourself out, you won't have these insecurities that manifest in some negative way, and you'll be able to move quicker in your life. And had I been able to figure that out younger, who knows? But I wouldn't change it. I think that radical acceptance of who you are and what you're about. And if you are odd or you are different, figure out how to leverage that, then I think you can live an unbalanced but yet very, very excited life. You darn Europeans always want to have this balance, but there's a negative byproduct of balance as well too. I think that unbalanced gives you options in the future.
It's interesting, because I've always been thinking about finding balance.
You'll find balance in the imbalance of what you enjoy, right? And chances are, if you enjoy something, you should do more of it.
Yes.
Assuming it's not parasitic.
Yes.
And so it took me a long time to embrace that. I was always trying to squash this passion for cars and keep it to myself and don't tell anybody, and that's probably not good, because then it bottled itself and exploded, right? And created more damage. And now I've been trying to dig out of the damage of the fallout of the shrapnel of that explosion. And so had I known this earlier on, this superior, inferior thing, instead of just acceptance, man, I really like doing this. I'm really good at this. I'm going to do more of that.
Follow your passion.
Yeah, and if your passion isn't monetizable like mine happened to be, that's okay. That means, but don't. I think don't. You still need to do what you're passionate about, and where balance would come in is that maybe you can't dedicate yourself fully to something that isn't going to pay the bills and create some success for you. But if you're lucky, like I've been, that imbalance will turn into something great.
Yeah, because the leap is hard. I know we talked about this the other day. Because, of course, I would love to do a podcast, many times a week, but I have another job, actually 2 other jobs. So, and you say you were forced to take that leap.
They took it away from me,
yeah. So maybe, I don't know what the future holds, but...
I think if you have that same discipline that you have, going to the gym and lifting the weight, if you have that same, because I would argue it seems like you like doing this, right? If
yes,
you love
I
doing
love
it,
doing this.
So you don't have to be disciplined to do more of it. You just have to commit and just do it and don't make excuses. And you shouldn't. when you're doing something that feels so good, it feels wrong, and so then you start making excuses for why you're not doing it as much as you should. And so the best thing you can do is to chase it, and then you'll find out if you have talent in it, and you'll find out if it resonates with others, and then you'll find time. And then when your job becomes an inconvenience to you doing that, then you take the leap.
Yeah, but this is a huge step, doing this in English.
Well, I did all the talking, so I let you off the hook. Yeah. We should make you talk more here.
No. That's my goal, to speak as little as I can in my podcast. It's about you, people.
Well, if you get me going and I've been talking about myself, then I'm pretty good at it. I've had to figure myself out, and so then I've had to talk about it a lot. And so this story, every time I tell it, is a little bit different. Yeah. And man, it's very therapeutic and very selfish of me to sit here and tell this, because it helps me get it out of my head. Like when I'm telling you about passing out, I get a little bit. Before it would have been like total, like I would have had to stop. Okay. And so every time I do it, it gets a little bit easier to sort of tell the story and get it out in the open, that it's not scary. Yeah. You know, it's not something I should be fearful of. Because I'm afraid of passing out at any moment, every time, all day, every second that I exist. And so the therapy session of sitting here talking helps a lot. Mm-hmm.
And I know that you are inspiring a lot of people that are listening, because everybody has a fear, you know.
See, I don't believe any of that. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to put it out there. If I believed that, then I would lose the humbleness. And so I just always assume no one's listening, no one's watching, no one cares, and that helps me a lot.
But thank you so much for this honest and inspiring conversation. You know, your story is amazing. And I hope this can help people to embrace who they really are, even the parts that feel difficult.
Get a genetic test done. If you're struggling like I am with anxiety, get a genetic test done, because you may be on the wrong medication. Yeah. You may not need medication. Mm-hmm. You know, I would prefer not to be on anything at all. And so that was a real change in my life. Figure that out and find a professional that understands what to do with that, you know, that genetic makeup, that genetic testing. And if you're lucky, you can do blood work, which almost everybody can except for me. So that's the next step.
And you know, sometimes reading books also helps, and watching videos and listening to podcasts like these. I've been reading, I don't know what it's called in English, probably just the 4 Life Rules or something. It's an old book by an Indian. And also the book Let Them. And a lot of these the things that they say register in your brain, and it lets you know that, you know, I don't care about what other people do and say, just be yourself.
Yeah, that's the other people saying stuff has never really affected me much. It's what I say. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's very selfish. But if you can figure out how to turn that selfishness into a contribution, man, you can change the world. Mm-hmm. I think I'm onto it.
You're onto it. So thank you again. And, you know, I am so thankful for this. And I hope I'll see you in Iceland one day.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think we're going to have to come now. Appreciate your time.
Same to you. Bye. And finally, to all of you listening, I hope that this episode reminds you that mental health is a part of whole health, and that our challenges can sometimes become our greatest strengths. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. Leave a review or tag me or Obsessed Garage on social media. And if you'd like to hear more real conversations about life, health, and everything in between, don't forget to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next episodes, because there will be more episodes in English in the future. So do not forget that your health is your foundation and that your health is in your hands. See you next time.